That was just a quick one. I just wanted a quick answer to it. Thank you very much. I want to go to drought response now. And in your presentation earlier, you had said that you modelled the impacts of climate change on farming. Have you modelled the impact of the emergency services volunteers tax and other taxes that Victorian farmers are facing, along with drought impacts? Have you done the modelling for that, for the viability
I'll
of
defer
Victorian
to
farmers?
the Secretary to talk about modelling, but what I will say is that it's been really apparent that at a time when farmers are doing it tough, and for some the toughest they've ever done it, and they can't see any end to this in sight, they've overburdened with pressure. This was one more thing that added a pressure to them, and I'm really pleased that there was the decision made to not have that imposed on them at a time when they really need to be worrying about what's going on.
It's only a stay of execution, though. It's only 12 months relief.
Well, I don't know that that's correct. It's been said it won't be this year, but the Treasurer has also said that conditions will continue to be monitored. So I think that there are conversations to be had. The Treasurer made it clear that she was open to those conversations. So
was any modelling being done on the impact of this tax and drought and other taxes that Victorian farmers are facing?
So I think in terms of the overall monitoring of the conditions in the sector, we're taking account, it's a dynamic process, and as the Minister referred to the Drought Task Force earlier, one of the reasons why it's been established is to make sure that we've got the highest levels of government meeting with peak industry stakeholders to take account of the dynamic management of the drought. In the context of the rainfall we've seen in the last 7 days, there have been some areas, including some areas that needed it most, that received some rainfall, so we're monitoring that, but overall we certainly wouldn't consider that that is game-changing in terms of the drought status. And we're continuing to monitor pressures on the sector, including the cost of fodder and other inputs to farm businesses, while recognising, as the Minister said earlier, that over...
Secretary, is any modelling being done on the impacts that this tax will have on the impact of farmers, Victorian farmers, and their viability?
Well, I think, as the Minister alluded to also, the emergency services levy the variable rate on primary production properties will remain at the current level as it was in 24-25. So the answer to that question is that no analysis of the impact of that.
No modelling's been done.
No analysis of the impact of no change is needed.
But it was introduced first, and then after incredible public outcry, it was paused. So has any modelling, or is there any intention to do any modelling before that comes back? Minister?
Can I just add to that? When it comes to our responses to drought, it's the drought preparedness and response framework.
Yeah, but we're talking about whether any modelling's been done about this tax and the impact it's going to have on farmers.
That framework takes into account not just seasonal conditions, but also social and economic conditions.
Which are getting worse.
If there's an economic pressure, then that's taken into account as to what response level ought be applied to the drought.
We'll get into drought response in a minute. I just want an answer, yes or no, has the modelling been done on the impact that this tax will have when it is introduced, or is there real consideration by government to scrap it, keep it at the current level for primary producers?
That would be a question for the Treasurer.
Has any modelling been done?
That would be a question for the Treasurer.
Nothing by the Department of Agriculture? No modelling at all for the impact of primary producers?
The policy is a policy responsibility of the Treasurer, so our department hasn't analysed or modelled that change, recognising there is no change occurring to the rate in the coming financial year. It's going to be the same as...
There was going to be impacts until 2 weeks ago, but no modelling's been done.
It's not our department's responsibility for the modelling.
Well, the Treasurer said that there was very little modelling when she was in front of this committee last week. So that was a no?
I think she did say that.
In response to drought response, page 18 of the Department Performance Statement indicates a 25% cut to the rural financial counselling services since last financial year. In the midst of a drought and so many taxes, with Victorian farmers, again, dealing with financial hardship, why are you cutting this?
Can you just give me that reference again?
Yep, it is Department Performance Statement, page 18, and the comparison is between 23-24. There was 2,279 services. 25-26 budget, 1,700 services. A 25% cut. Why would we be cutting rural financial counselling services at, as you said, Minister,
we're
a
not-
time when Victorian farmers are doing it
We just-
perhaps the toughest they've ever done it?
We've added additional resources to them through the drought response. All three drought responses included the Rural Financial Counselling Service. So I think that you'll find that the revised actuals for that will be different when it takes into account the boost in services that will be provided over the period since.
If I could just add to the answer, Minister, and it goes to your point that the target in 24-25 was 1,700 and the achieved result was 2,100. So it was an outperformance against target with another 400 services provided. The target remains at 1,700, but that is not an indication of our capacity to meet and respond to demand. And as the Minister said, we've extended that partnership by investing $900,000 in the 25-26 budget.
There is a wait list at the moment for rural financial counselling services of over 6 weeks. So how many Victorians are currently on the rural financial counselling wait list across Victoria? And what is the department doing to bring that down? 6 weeks is too long to wait. Banks won't wait that long.
Yeah, thank you, Ms Benham. The Rural Financial Counselling Service triages its clients, and that's a process that they run. We have invested through this drought response. There's been an increase in funding provided to the Rural Financial Counselling Service, not a decrease.
So that will go up in resources?
It has gone up in
Immediately.
resources, that's correct, yep.
Because even they say they are so underfunded and under-resourced that they cannot keep up with demand, particularly now. Demand is growing. The Rural Financial Counselling Service
We're not-
we speak to often.
That's not something, I'm not hearing 6-week wait lists, Ms Benham, and the triaging is done by the Rural Financial Counselling Service. We are actively meeting with them quite frequently around the monitoring of services to see what is required, but I haven't heard a 6-week wait list that hasn't been...
Do you know what the current wait list, according to AgVic, would be?
My understanding is that it varies depending on where you are in the state and which service you're working with.
Could you get me a breakdown on, because obviously geographically and after the rain, each area is different. Are you able to supply me with a breakdown?
We would need to talk to the Rural Financial Counselling Service to obtain that, but yes, I would need to take that away, yes.